Greetings, everyone. I'm Luke Bryan Smith, and welcome to Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved. Hope everybody's doing well. Wait, I believe everybody's doing well. I have faith everybody's doing well, and everything is unfolding perfectly. I'm excited yet again, and I need to say this name before I mess it up. Although I don't want to put that out there in the universe that I'm messing up anything. Everything is perfectly and unfolding perfectly. I have a very special guest today, Kadie Obiri-Yeboah. Yes. And I'm so excited because I enjoy, as you all know, I enjoy engaging in amazing conversations. And I was just saying this to Kadie prior to this segment, how much I love engaging in high vibrational, positive, educational, just dialogues and conversations and finding out more about people. And we were even talking about that. We need to do that more. And before I keep going, let me tell you a little bit about Kadie. So Kadie Obiri-Yeboah is an ultimate performance life coach. Kadie's mission is to help individuals find more meaning in their existence and find clarity so they can live out their dreams and turn them into their new reality. And I'll stop right there, but I'm going to reference some more stuff later. How are you doing today, Kadie?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. Now, what do you want me to call you, Lute or Brian?
That's fine. Yes, Lute is fine.
Okay.
While we're here on the show, but then when the camera turns off, you can go back to Brian again.
Okay, sounds good.
My friends, yes, will call me Brian, but when we're on this platform, I'll go by my stage name. So yes, Kadie, let's get right into it. I mean, ultimate performance coach, and I just want to touch on more that I've read about you. You were on your own at age 17. I mean, and I don't want to talk about each and everything, but what I do want to highlight is how things looked like they were falling apart when the company that you were working for at that time went out of business, and then you had to go through some adverse moments, and it just transformed things. Little did you know at that time that ended up being a blessing. Could you elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah, well, I was 17. Well, I got pregnant at 22, but I was on my own since I was 17. But once I was 22, I finished high school. I moved from outside of Toronto, a smaller city, moved to the city of Toronto. And I was just working like telemarketing jobs, right? I didn't know what I really wanted to do. I thought at one point, I want to get into acting, or, I didn't know. I just thought I would come to the big city, and ended up getting telemarketing job. And, it was just an hourly type wage pay. And then when I got pregnant at 22, I realized, whoa, I really need to figure something out. Like, I don't want to be stuck in this telemarketing job when I'm bringing life into this world now, right?
Right.
So the blessing was I didn't want to have to go back to that job. And I would have been kind of forced, at least I thought at that time,
yes,
to go back after having my baby. But while I was on maternity leave, the company went belly up. They went bankrupt. And so I had to go on to welfare.
Wow.
And yeah, so I went on to welfare while I was home with her. I had her early. She was premature. And so I was actually, again, blessed that happened, because it allowed me to really tend to her, because we only had 6 months maternity leave at that time. And I had already used up like 2 months with her being in the hospital, being early. And so that would have meant I would have only had like 4 months. I know you guys only have like 3 months in the States, but for us, 6 months wasn't, we had up to 18 months now.
Wow.
But at that time it was like, so it ended up being a blessing that I got to stay home. So I stayed home with her, and then decided to go back to school, went to college, got my diploma in financial planning. And then that's when I was able to get working in insurance at that time. Yeah.
Wow. And then you ended up dabbling or jumping all the way into investing in real estate. Am I correct?
Yes, that's right. So I've left a bunch out because obviously I'm, just trying to get to the main things.
Right.
But My
And the
husband and
reason
I,
why I brought that up, because I too, I can relate to that because I've gotten into that myself. So yeah,
okay.
but that's amazing. What I had expressed to you earlier is that it never gets old. When I hear people, um, it seems like that the bottom falls out of their life, if you will. And at that time, I know that it was scary for you, and you probably at that particular moment didn't know what you were going to do or didn't have a focus. Your focus, well, I'll take that back. Your focus was on your child at that time, but at the same time, like you said, at that particular moment, you thought you were just going to go back to this job that really wasn't fulfilling and what you wanted to do. And that just, when you first heard the news that they went out of business, I'm pretty sure that was a little bit scary at first when you heard that.
Yeah, it was, but it was strange enough that I was kind of I was kind of glad because I
Wow.
knew, with the system that we have here, we have that's what welfare is for. When you're in a position where something happens, you've got that resource, and I know that it's not like that everywhere. So I'm
Right.
truly grateful for that opportunity that I had that ability.
Right.
But at that point, I didn't know what I didn't know, right? And
Yes.
so for me, I just thought, well, the most responsible thing for me to do is to go back to school. I have to get a diploma because that's what you do, right? Like you go to
Right.
school, you go to get a diploma or a degree and you get an education. And then from there, you can start getting work that you get paid to live the life that you want to live, right? That was my idea, working with the limited knowledge that I had at that time.
Right. Right. But
Yeah.
that's amazing that you had all this inspiration to, go back to school, and just the motivation and the drive and to do that. I commend you on doing that, because oftentimes, from my perspectives and my experiences, people think about that type of thing, or they say it, but it just never happens. And you actually did it. So
What did it for me was I had an emotional impact, and it was I brought life into this world.
right,
I
right.
mean, I was young, carefree, didn't care about anything. But as soon as I realized that I was bringing a life into this world, that's what changed me instantly. And I
Something
realized,
clicked.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I
The
was like,
light
I've
switch
got to
came
do,
on.
yeah, I've got to do something. I just didn't know what. And so I mean, school, education. I need to be able to provide for my
Right.
daughter,
Right.
right?
And
And
a lot came from that. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
you ended up meeting your husband and everything. So I mean, that's just awesome, that how that came about. And
Yeah.
what I also want to get to is, not to shorten your story, but how did you how did it unfold that you became interested in, like, in coaching people, and how'd you get into that? How did that unfold?
Okay, so how that happened was from the real estate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we got into real estate investing. Now, I will admit that my husband kind of dragged me kicking and screaming because I was living, I didn't know it at the time, but I was living in such scarcity,
Right.
right? Where,
Yeah. Here.
the thought of even getting a mortgage was scary.
Right.
You know, I had set everything up for myself where I was able to manage my bills, everything I had. I had an apartment that I was renting, and I, I budgeted myself in such a way where this was my life. I'm going to live like this until the end of time. This is all I can afford, right?
Right.
And I
Right.
couldn't think outside that box. And my husband, he wasn't my husband at the time we were dating. He was just like, when we really started getting serious, he was like, we need to buy a house. And I was like, but we don't have the amount for the house. I don't want to buy a house until we have the full payment. Like
Right.
I didn't want anything to do with a mortgage. And
Right.
he was like, I mean, we're in Canada here, like, and the way Toronto is one of the most expensive places,
Yes.
right? And so if we had waited with my idea, we probably would still be living in my apartment, saving up, right?
I
So
get it.
he basically had to just make the decision. He was like, we're doing this, we're getting a mortgage, it's done. He pulled the trigger. I went reluctantly. But then he said, well, we're going to rent out, I'm going to renovate the basement. We're going to rent it out. And I was like, I don't want people in our basement. I, again, fought it. Again, I was scared, didn't want that. But he put his foot down and said, no, we're doing it. So when he did that, I started saying, well, if we're going to have this, I need to educate myself to find out what is this all about. So I started just reading. I bought a few books on real estate investing and income properties, and just really started educating myself on how to do that. And once we finished the basement, we got a tenant in there, and then they started paying rent, and it was covering like half of our mortgage and everything else. We realized, because it took us like a minute, like we waited 2 years before we started, and then we were like, why did we wait? Right? This is great. And so at that point, we thought the market had done really well. We bought a new place, and so we moved into our new property with the intention, full force, we're going to renovate the basement, do the same thing. So we didn't waste time this time. We renovated it right away, got it rented out. Then we decided to purchase an investment property.
Wow.
Yeah. So we
things just start flowing along.
Yeah. So we got the investment property. Once we purchased the investment property, we didn't know what we were doing. So we saw a property, we wanted it. There was 8 other offers. We had been outbid a couple other offers that we had done. And so this time we just went like over asking, like, bully offer. It got accepted, overpaid. That's fine. We ended up gutting the place, renovating it, converting it into 3 units, renting it out. And then we knew that we wanted to do it again, but then we realized we can't keep overpaying for these properties. We're going to run out of resources really quickly. Yes. And so I decided, okay, I need to figure out there's got to be a better way, right? And so that's when I got into mentorship. And when I got into the mentorship and started learning about investments, personal development was a really big part of that. And as I learned about personal development, it was literally like I was in a cave and stepped out into the light. Like I just woke up and I realized, my goodness, I have been operating as a victim this whole time.
Right.
I didn't realize that I was doing it. But
like a lot of people are, excuse me.
Yes. Yeah, well, because, listen, I had a job, I had the house. We now at this point we have 5 kids, right? We've got all these things, but I was miserable. But I was literally just on autopilot. Every day was the same day on a different date.
You became a robot, so to speak.
It was just a robot, autopilot.
No, I get it.
And
I get it.
Yeah. And I got to the point, like looking back, where it was like, I was dragging myself out of bed. The alarm would go off. I'd be hitting the snooze button, like dreading getting up. And the kids started just irritating me, driving me crazy. And I'm just
no excitement about life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why me? Why is this happening? And I'm just more miserable. And I was just, kind of marinating in that misery and just saying, man, is this all there is to life? Like, and that was really, it was just not good. And when I was introduced to personal development and realized that I'm really the creator of my circumstances.
Right.
Once I took responsibility and realized that I had the ability to change it, to me, that was like, it unleashed something inside of me that just exploded.
Right.
And I was so excited. So from that, developed the confidence to really, so then by this point, this was when COVID first came. And like when the
2020.
In 2020, the first shutdown happened. And it was like everybody else was fearful, but because of personal development, I was fearless. And it was like, no, we ended up purchasing like 3 properties that year. During the time when people they thought the world was going to end, right? But it was just literally changing my environment, getting in a room of people that just thought differently,
right,
and learning how to think.
Yeah, people on a higher thought current, energy. Yes, exactly. That's important.
Yeah, and so I released 40 pounds of weight. Like everything in my my marriage improved, everything, my parenting with my kids started to improve. I started like just sharing the information with a bunch of people. People started reaching out to me, and I found I was spending so much time, and I realized I really enjoy doing this. And I realized this is my calling. Like this is what I need to be doing. And so that's when I was like, okay, now again, I always like to make sure that I'm getting the best information out there. So I was like, I need to learn from the best. And that's when I sought out mentorship from, I don't know if you heard of the late Bob Proctor.
Bob Proctor, yes. That's one of the first books. Thoughts or Things was one of the first personal development books that I read. And You Were Born Rich by
Yes.
Bob Proctor. I love Bob Proctor. I've listened to
Yeah.
his segment. Excuse me for going on, but yes,
No, that's okay.
yeah, it impacted me when he transitioned a little while ago, because he was one of the first voices that I listened to via YouTube that was telling me this information that I was like, what? What do you mean I can shift my paradigm, shift? What is this? And now it doesn't sound like a foreign language anymore, but at the time it did, but it intrigued me. So I kept listening. So yes, I am very familiar with Bob. Go ahead, Kadie.
Yeah. So I sought mentorship from him. And that was the best decision that I ever made in my life.
Right.
And let me tell you, I didn't actually hear, I didn't know who he was until the year of 2020, when I started this whole transformation. I didn't know what personal development was. I didn't know any of this stuff.
Right.
Right. And so I don't know if I was, I don't understand how I didn't have access to this information, but it just goes to show, it's what you kind of, what you engage in is what you see. You see one view, and it's
Right.
what you're in harmony with. And at the
Yes, that
time,
is true.
yeah,
Whatever you are in alignment with, that's what you're going to see. So if you're in alignment with scarcity, that's what you're going to see in your existence. If you're poverty thinking, that's what you're going to see. That's what's going to unfold in your experiences. So that's amazing. And what I wanted to elaborate on is, it's just amazing that you got to a point where you became receptive to this information, because oftentimes in my experiences, I've watched people just blow this type of stuff off of like, nah, I don't know what that is. It doesn't say that at my church, or it doesn't say that this guy doesn't say that. So that must be some type of cult, and I'm like, wait a minute, it's just changing your thinking and shifting what the words you speak, and the thoughts that you think, and taking responsibility for that, and knowing that all this has something to do with what occurs and what manifests in your life. Oh no, so
yeah,
I commend you for that, for being open,
yeah,
and for waking up and being able to receive that information, because oftentimes people are really stuck in a box because of how they were raised, or programmed, and they won't shift out of that,
yeah,
even though it's not serving them. They'd rather stay familiar in a familiar place, even if it's uncomfortable, and be comfortable with the uncomfortable with, rather than make a change.
yeah, yeah. And that's how most people live their life, which is truly unfortunate.
Right.
I'm just so grateful that I was open-minded, because that's the key. Open-mindedness is essential for growth,
Yes.
right? You
Yes.
have to be open-minded.
Yes. And in my experience, I always, and believe me, I don't even want to touch on this subject, but I always, growing up in a very religious family, I just wasn't, there was always some questions within myself that remained just buried, because I was told to shh, don't question this, don't think about that, don't
Question.
ask this,
Yeah,
don't do
yeah,
this.
yeah,
This is all there is. You have to go through this person. This is the person. You're not you, and basically made to feel like I had no power, and that everything I did, I wasn't worthy. And just when you live like that, that's exactly what happens in your life. You're not worthy of anything. You don't get anything.
yeah,
Um, you don't have any fulfillment in life, really,
yeah,
when you're just, and like you said, an important word that you said was, you become a victim. You live your life as a victim of circumstances, instead of
self-imposed.
knowing that you can empower yourself to take control of these circumstances,
Yeah,
that you were created and given this power to be a creator yourself. So once that clicked in, I was, wait a minute, I'm taking responsibility. There's no blame. Everything that I went through in life, it was meant to happen that way. I have no blame, no hard feelings against no one. I release everything, send blessings and peace to everyone. Now I want to work here, and that's what I've been doing. And I first became aware of Bob Proctor, even though I didn't understand him, in 2016. I didn't resonate with anything he was saying at the time. And it's just, when I look back on it and I think about today of how when I listen to him now, it just seems like.
I'm curious, like,
yeah, go ahead.
What do you think the shift was for you?
I had went through some things in regards to, I was married once before, and just a lot of problems were happening with our children. I don't want to place any blame on anybody, but just a lot of things, just a lot of confusion, and I felt helpless and angry at the same time. And I got to a place where I just felt like I didn't know what else to do. So I went, something started speaking to me. Now I know it was my intuition, or God within me, the universe, God speaking to me, saying, look within yourself and start making some changes within yourself, and you will see outside circumstances start to change.
Wow.
Stop worrying about trying to change someone else or wishing they were this way, or you work on you, work on your mindset and work on your, connecting with your spirit. And that was that time where I started seeking answers. I started Googling things on, the internet and looking up YouTube, like, hey, it just led me, like I said, and it ended up leading me to like people like Bob Proctor. Another person that I give a lot of credit to is Jason Stevenson with his guided meditations, and Louise Hay, and I listened to a few Les Brown, and even some Reverend Ike stuff, because he talks a lot about law of attraction types things in a different way. That's how he breaks down like even biblical stuff in like a esoteric way. Like there's a hidden meaning. It's not just what you think from reading it straight out. It's this way. It's all subconscious. And, that's how he does it. So people like Neville Goddard and Joseph Murphy. And
okay, it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was led to all that. And I know all these things, all these people and information didn't come to me on accident. It was meant to be that way. Yeah. And it came in little doses. One of the first books I read was I Wish I Knew This 20 Years Ago by Justin Perry. And that kind of was like a little elementary way of explaining to you about how your thoughts and feelings impact your life. And then I read The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. And then after that, I think I read Bob Proctor, Thoughts Are Things, and You Were Born Rich. And then I read those books, and then I started listening to him in some of his segments on YouTube, and just became a student of personal development and the subconscious mind and spirituality and just all that. So, abundance and just everything, creating my reality. I just became a student of that. And yeah. So,
that's beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I resonate with that. So you started out with Bob Proctor, and then what made you want to start reaching out and mentoring other people and teaching other people?
Well, I just realized that this was my purpose. Like
other people. Yeah, you did say that.
Yeah, other people need to know that there's more to life than just existing,
right.
Really in autopilot. Right? I mean, too many people have come on this planet and left and not untapped their true gift, the true purpose for why they came here. Right? And it's right. So sad, and it's unnecessary. Right. Like when you think about life, right? We are meant to actually be happy. We're
right.
meant to live abundantly. We're meant to live in
fulfilled. Like, yeah, see, you got me started. See, I'm sorry. You go ahead, because you'll get me excited and I won't shut up. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, this is what life is supposed to be, right? But because of ignorance, we're suffering by our own hand, and we don't even realize it. And so I got to do my part, and this is my way of giving back,
Wow.
to just let people know the power is within you. It's not out there with anybody else, right? It's inside.
Exactly.
It's an inside
no
job.
one's punishing you.
No one's punishing you.
Yes, you're punishing yourself.
Yeah.
What
And no
you're
one's
sending
gonna
out,
save
you're
you
getting
either.
back.
Exactly. And the
Right.
only person that can save you is yourself. Save
Exactly.
yourself from yourself.
Right.
But in order to do that, you have to know who you are. Who are you? And where are you going? That's the two key things. Like that, so many people, they have no idea. They're just getting up habitually every day,
Right.
going through the motions. Like I was doing for how many years? It took me 40 years to get to this point, right?
Same here.
But you know
Exactly.
what?
But we're
There's
here
still,
though. That's the
there's
exciting
still
thing,
air
because
in
some
our
people never
lungs.
get there.
Yeah, there's still air in our lungs. Louise Hayes, her life didn't start until her mid 40s.
Right. Right.
She was unconscious and competent as well, right? So
Yes.
that gave me such joy to know that, wow, I mean, it's never too late.
No, and you just spark. I read several stories. I can't think of all their names, but it was all these great people, philosophers and authors that really didn't tap into the potential until later age. Some well into their 60s and 70s. Some, even like when you look at the philanthropist, what's Maya Angelou, she didn't really tap into her full potential. And I've told this to plenty of people till later in age. She used to be a prostitute, but then when she died or when she transitioned, what was she known for? For being a prostitute? Or she was not. So that tells you can always, it's never too late. No, it's never too late. You can always change your, the direction of what you're doing, your mind, your thoughts, your actions, and everything. And you don't have to be tied and anchored to your conditions or who you were. If you have people in your life that want to keep tying you to who you were, you need to cut that string and get rid of them.
Right.
I tell you that much right now. And I'm talking family and everything,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
no, we are here to uplift each other, not just keep pointing at faults and what you did and who you were before, especially when you're trying to grow. It's like, no. And that's the thing also. You can put information out there, but you can't save everybody. If people don't want to be receptive to what's good, for their life, then all you can do is really send them good thoughts and pray for them and keep on moving.
I always say everybody needs this information, but not everybody wants it, right?
No.
And so I have to respect where people are at, and I'll give you everything if you want it. But the minute you tell me no, I have to respect that.
Right. Exactly. And just respect the process that either life's going to show them, because life is going to show you, but it depends on whether you're going to listen, because it'll keep showing you and it'll tap harder and harder and harder. And if you keep being stubborn, I'm not judging anyone, because for a long time now that I look back, life was trying to tell me, the universe, God was trying to tell me some things that I could have avoided a lot of things. But at the same time, I'm living a life with no regrets now, because I know everything led up to this point now to how I think now. And if I could record this recording, even this conversation we're having now, and play it for my earlier self would be sitting here going, the heck are you talking about? Man, what drugs are you on? So yeah. So now I know that I'm headed in the right direction, because I just feel so much more peace and harmony and balance. And not saying that I don't encounter any adversity in my life, but I'm better equipped to flow through it now.
But that's
I
just
don't
what
know
it's
all the
about.
answers, but I'm excited about waking up.
Yeah.
I have moods, and some days I feel better than others. I'm not gonna lie. We're human. We have energies, flowing through us. We have things, and some things sometimes we got to still remind ourselves and get out of our own way. But at the same time, I'm excited to see what I'm gonna learn, or for my next goal, my next project, my next growth spurt, because I'm still growing. Maybe not physically, but I'm still growing.
We all are. Well, it's either growing or dying,
or
right? So
dying.
there's no
Right.
there's no standing still,
Nope.
right? So we're either growing or we're dying.
Right, right. So that's amazing. So I have your links to connect with you, but while I have you here, how can people connect with you?
The best way I would say is Facebook Messenger.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. You have your own website too, though, right?
I do.
Or
Yeah, I do.
and what's that?
It's Dreams to Reality with Kadie, and that's with a D, KADIE.com.
Okay. Yes, I just wanted to say it while we were here.
Yeah, yeah. So you can check out my website as well.
Yeah, website as well.
Subscribe
Yes, I
to.
have.
I'm just doing like YouTube a bit, so I would love for people to subscribe to my YouTube.
Okay, and what's your YouTube channel?
I believe. Okay, now you put me on the spot there.
Okay.
um,
It doesn't matter if you don't remember it by heart, because we're going to everybody that's watching. When you look at the description of this video, when it's uploaded to YouTube, the link will be there and you can click on it. So that'll take you right off the spot, Kadie. I don't want to put
Thank
anybody
you.
on the
I know
spot,
I
but
sent it to you.
yeah, I have it and it will be in there. So everybody click on all the links. All of her links will be in the description of this video and connect with her. And yes, those
Yeah.
of you that want to ask more questions, that are just starting out, or that, want to be, coached and just in ways that will enhance your life and give you answers. She's been through a lot in life, and her expertise is this. So look her up, and that's amazing. And like you said, Kadie, we're all still growing, and that's amazing that you choose to not only just grow yourself, but to share that growth, share the wisdom and the knowledge and the insight and perspectives that you're gaining through your growth with other people. And I commend you and applaud you for doing that. That's amazing.
Well, thank you. Bob would say something along the lines of, "You don't like find your passion; you discover it."
Right.
Right, and that's what happened to me. I discovered it. It was something that was within, that was just suppressed for so long, with such limiting beliefs and scarcity. And the moment I took responsibility and just became open-minded and receptive, that's when it was able to start shining through.
When you got out of your own way.
That's
I
right.
like to say that way.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
because that
I want to say this. I want to say this to whoever's watching. Like, each and every one of us have something deep within us that we know that we're meant for more. And there's something that we've all wanted to do, and we've just pushed it out of our mind for so long that some of us have forgotten, right? But if you really start getting present and really start looking within, and just getting present and just asking yourself, what is it that I really, really want? And really start getting in tune with yourself. We are all meant to be here for a specific purpose. We all have something unique about us, right? We may not know exactly how, and that's the thing that trips a lot of people up, and that's why it's the start that stops most people. But start dreaming again. Start tapping into your higher faculties, because we have these gifts that allow us to create our life. And if you just start asking those questions, the answers will come to you,
that's
right?
what I was going to say. That you don't have to know what your gifts are. Just take a step in that direction by being receptive and open and asking the questions, and things will have a magical way of just starting
Yeah.
illuminating
Yeah.
one step at a time,
Yeah.
sometimes more. But
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
exactly what happened with
But
me.
here's
I
the thing.
asked those questions. Yeah.
This is what most people do. They talk about their problems. They complain.
Right.
When you are entertaining that type of engagement, you are not going to find the creativity within you, because it's the on the opposite end of the polarity, right? And so
Right.
you have to entertain the good to receive the good, so that what you put out comes back. Basic science, like attracts like, right? And so that's what it is. You just have to start getting in harmony with the good that you desire.
Exactly. Amazing. And that's in alignment with exactly what I was referring to when I said that I love having high vibrational conversations, conversations where you could actually you can even touch on a problem, but in order to get to a solution. And that's the only time that I'll talk about a problem. If we're heading to a solution, not just to complain. I no longer, I'm, as much as I can help it, I remain aware of the conversations that I'm having, engaging into, listening to as well. Because if I even overhear a conversation that I don't want going into my subconscious mind, I get away from it. I don't want to listen to it. I don't want that going in here and replaying itself while I'm
exactly.
Sleeping. So
that includes unfortunately, sometimes the news and like all these different things. Like
I don't watch the news anymore.
Yeah, anything that isn't serving you, you want to be aware of that, and you want to take control of it for sure.
Yeah, people ask me all the time, "Hey, you hear about this?" Nope. You didn't even know?
Nope.
And I'm like, and I try to address it in the most calm, non-critical way as I can. But I go, okay, so what? Because you are hearing this type of news, how is it benefiting you more than it's benefiting me? How is it elevating you in any way? Because you've heard about this tragedy and I haven't. And then they kind of look at me with this puzzled look like, well, I know. Okay, but what is it doing for you? Other than scaring you.
Right, exactly.
So no, I didn't hear about the latest shooting or bombing or this and that. I believe that everything that I'm meant to know will come to me, if I need to know it. But other than that, I'm not going to continuously feed myself, especially with an entity that I know that is there to get ratings based on sharing tragic news. I'm not going to
fear-mongering for ratings and it all. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. And the thing is, I used to, and I grew up. I remember watching, my family, my uncles, they all every day reading the newspaper, sitting in front of that news. They got to sit there and it's. And at that,
I used to think that was the responsible thing to do. I used to think that that's what people do.
That's right? What I'm saying. They were looking like they were, be quiet, like they were educating themselves. And no, they were being programmed, not educated.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
To think a certain way, to think scarcity and fear and anger and all that was being constantly fed to them for years. And some are still, unfortunately, are still that way.
Yeah, that's right.
That's amazing. Well, I enjoyed very much speaking with you today, Kadie. And before we conclude the segment, are there any last things you would like to share?
Well, you pretty much summed it up where we said that, listen, we have the ability to control our thoughts, and you may not be aware of it. You may not be exercising it, but you have absolute control over that. And just tap into your greatness, because we all have it in us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, we all do. And it's, if anybody out there is feeling like, no, they don't tell yourself that, because you do. Everybody does. We're all created uniquely and spectacular and just extraordinary, and everybody, no one is excluded. So just start knowing that, tell yourself that, and then start asking those questions, and then connect with someone like Kadie to help cultivate and bring that out of you. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you again. I appreciate you being here, Kadie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Thank you very much, everybody. I send you love, peace, happiness, abundance. May everything good continuously circulate in all areas of your life, in your experiences, and just, yes. And may those around you just wake up and become receptive to, to life, to living, to thriving, instead of just existing. Thank you very much. See you soon. Enlightened, empowered, evolved.